guys.
I know, I know. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I really appreciate you taking your time out of your day, to join us, and we celebrate you as you capped. Congratulations, and
Thank you. I have
look
all my props here today. So I've got my cap
awesome.
ready with all my goods.
Awesome. Very, very nice. So I guess let's get started by, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been in the business? Things like that.
Yeah, so I have been in real estate for almost 11 years. And I was with another company for 7 years, and I've been with Keller Williams for 3. And honestly, it is the best move I've ever made. I have never felt so supported with a company. You know, that's half the battle. If you are going through a transaction and you are uncertain, I feel like I have so many avenues to turn, Williams. It's the capper today. It's the truth. I feel very supported by Susan and Kevin and Bob. Everybody at the office, they get back to me right away. I didn't have that experience before. And that really means a lot because we know in our business, time is of the essence and we need our answer and we need it now. And I feel like I get that.
Right.
Yeah, I'm good.
Very nice. So, what is your best year? What do you think your best year was in real estate volume wise?
Oh, yeah, 2008. I had a really fabulous year. I did about 10 million, and it was one of those years where I actually did less sides. The houses that I sold were I had like $1 million home on Canandaigua Lake, so that was really huge to me.
Fabulous.
Yeah, so that was my best year. Last winter, I didn't have a very good start, but this winter I've already I've done 50% more than I did first quarter last year, so that's good for what we're going through. So yeah. I'm really happy about that, and I'm just looking to kind of, as we all are with this pandemic, pay attention to our clients and their needs. A little bit with more detail and a little bit with more caring gloves, really listening to what we have to help them get through. I feel like I'm a little bit of a counselor right now. I'm enjoying that aspect, making sure though if that's something I can't answer, I send them to the appropriate people, but I'm having a lot of conversations and helping clients work through things right now.
Right. That's so true. It's so important during these times, isn't it? It's just, trying to make everybody feel safe, secure, connected, heard, things like that. So
I think that's it. It's heard. They just want to talk. They want to talk out what they're going through and where their world is as far as real estate, whether they're buying or selling, whether they feel it's a good time. One thing I learned on this call I really like was, now is a good time because we don't know what the market's going to be like in another month. And I really do believe that. So I think that has been helpful as well.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think, so you mentioned having, a better year this year compared to last year as far as the winter and stuff goes. What do you think attributed to that?
That's a good question.
I was just wondering if there were any habits or anything that you self-recognized and made changes or.
Well, one thing that I have done differently is I'm finally taking bold. Now that is now hitting quarter 2. So I can't speak on quarter 1, but I've been with the company for 3 years and this is the first time I've taken bold. And I'm glad I have. Everybody talks about takeaways. What did you take away? Even Bob Shoemaker said yesterday in our meeting, you just get one thing out of every time you listen to a Zoom call, it's a success. So the one thing for bold for me, a standout moment was gratitude. So now my family and I, we've implemented every night at the dinner table, everybody shares 5 things that they're grateful for. And it really carries on such a positive conversation. I enjoy that aspect. So I think you can even carry that over your clients, and they aren't feeling really positive about what's going on in their world. I share that story with them. I said, let's take a step back and talk about, I learned this in one of my seminars that I'm attending. It might be something fun for you to implement in your life. And I have some great conversations around that, because then they tell me something they're grateful for, and it could be just the smallest little thing.
Sure.
So I think that personal connection going forth is really going to help me.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So are you a single agent? Do you have admin support? Let's talk a
No,
little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm a single agent. One thing I did during the pause, and I'm really proud of, that I don't know if everybody knows, but I took my 45-hour broker certification course.
Nice.
So I'm using the pause to the best of my ability. That was one of my accomplishments. I cannot take my actual state exam yet because the state closed. So fortunately, it's not scheduled end of June, and it could be pushed off from there. When I took my certificate, when I took my test, they actually had me on online proctoring, just like a Zoom call. So that was really interesting. I couldn't have chapstick on my desk. They searched my whole house, and but anyways, that was an experience. But back to, and as far as an admin goes, just this year I've had, or a little bit last year, Jessica Martin has kind of been helping me out when I might feel overwhelmed. But I've actually done it the majority all by myself. But the last year and a half or so, she has been an immense help to me, and she's very good at what she does. So if anybody's looking for a little bit of help with either open houses, well, when we get there, or with their buyers, Jessica is really good, and she connects well with them.
Nice, nice, very nice. So I hear through the grapevine that you are, I don't know, the well queen, watershed queen, septic queen. Talk a little bit about that.
I want everybody on this call this morning. Yeah, everyone on this call this morning, I want you to know that you have a friend in the Finger Lakes. And my world is a little bit different than yours. I've learned that over these leadership calls on what you guys are experiencing, they're a lot different than my experiences. And that is a good thing, because you can always call me if you have a question about wells or septics or cesspools or easements, encroachments, and right-of-ways and surveys. I'm your girl. I deal with that on a daily basis. The majority of my properties are on well and septic. The majority of my properties have large pieces of land attached, so I'm very familiar with what season is it. Is it deer season, which we know happens in December? Right now we're in turkey season. So there is no surveyor going out to the properties between, well, they wouldn't go at dusk or sunlight, but they can't go until after 12 o'clock because people are hunting now. So these are the things that we have to understand when we're writing a contract and we're expecting to get out there, what season it is, how long is it going to take him, and is it going to push our contract, our closing date? Same thing with well and septics. I deal a lot with the Canandaigua Lake watershed, the Keuka watershed. If any of you on this call ever need contact information for that kind of thing, please call me. I'd be very happy to help you as far as septic companies go, or anyone who's capable of taking a proper potability test for wells. So those are the things I work with on a daily basis. And I want everyone to know that I'm here for you. So text me anytime, call me anytime, run something by me that doesn't seem right. I'm here to help.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You also mentioned too, floodplains and, talking about different types of loans. How have you learned about all of that? Is there a resource that you've used, or?
Right. So just from experience, and my husband is a lieutenant with the DEC. So I can tell you I have that DEC connection.
Okay.
And I have worked with a lot of people in the water office. So if you're dealing with a property that has a house close to a creek, let's say, or we know it's very marshy, we could be dealing with the Army Corps of Engineers. We have to do a lot of floodplain evaluations. We have to understand if the structure is within floodplain or not. Those could be tricky things. So keep that in mind when you're going to list a property out here in the Finger Lakes that are close to marshy areas or creeks, even the lakes.
Are you still talking, or did you freeze? It's hard to tell. Or did
Are
I
you
freeze?
frozen? I think you are. Yeah, I think we both did. I think you did.
Okay. Okay. So with
Yeah,
regards,
so all from experience.
okay. So with regards to like the lakes and stuff, I'm sure that there are certain restrictions with regards to repairs they're allowed to make, or, things like that.
Exactly. So I work a lot with the Canandaigua Lake Watershed, and then also the code enforcement officer for each town. So those are the people who are going to guide me and the buyers or sellers in the right directions as far if someone has a dock that's eroding, a break wall, excuse me, or a dock that needs replacement, anything that's close to the water. We have to caution people who may want to do some improvements to that. They have to follow the right steps because that just can't be done by a homeowner without a permit.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, you mentioned with regards to like surveyors and stuff going out to the properties, does that extend the closing time for you? Like when you know that you're getting into like deer season or turkey season, when you're writing a contract or when you are looking at a contract with a seller, are you cognizant of the additional time it takes, and how do you factor that into things?
I do, and it also takes an additional time when you're on well and septic, and also if you're doing a radon test. So as far as surveys goes, yes, I understand what season we're in, and if there's going to be a delay on getting that surveyor out there or not. So I take that into consideration. I take into consideration if I list a property and they don't know what type of septic system or lack of septic system they have. And if we are in the watershed, I take that into consideration because that could take a little bit longer, getting the watershed commissioner out there along with the septic company to discover what's there. Also, when you deal with wells, if you're doing potability and volume, potability, if you do all 5 components, can take up to 14 to 21 business days, depending on how busy the labs are. So when you're doing nitrite, nitrate, E. coli, coliform, and lead, you might not have your tests, all of your tests for 21 days. You're going to get your E. coli and coliform right away. So we're going to know right away if there's a problem, which is a blessing. But if sometimes no news is good news, but it could take that long. So you have to take that into consideration when you're working with properties that are on wells.
Okay. So what are typically the costs that are involved with the different types of inspections with regards to, the potability or even like the septic inspections? Do you ever have your seller, actually answer that first, and then I have a second part to that.
Yeah, so I practice what I preach. So I actually just had all 5 components taken at my house. I test my well regularly. It was $295 just for the tests. And you can't run your water at all for 6 hours prior. Some places say 12 hours prior, but so midnight, and he came at 8:30 in the morning, and he took my samples. But what you have to keep in mind is if you do have a problem, shocking is not going to take care of it. Shocking is a easy fix. I would never recommend a seller shock their well before testing because that is only a short term. You need to know, your buyer needs to know exactly what's in the water. So you test a regular well, and if you come back with an issue, then you take it from there. And if you get to the point where you need to have a bacteria injection system, or if you need to have a UV light put in, you have to keep in mind that you also have to have that water retested after that. So that could put a delay on those things as well. And a UV system can cost somewhere in the ballpark of $1,400.
Okay. So are there specific companies that you know of that will, so you get test results back, and I speak from, when I was on Lisa's team and we, had well and septic issues and stuff. And so a lot of times we would have the testing done, the results would come back, but the lab wasn't able to give us guidelines as far as what to do to fix it or, things like that. So
yeah, so I work with like 3 companies, plumbing companies who are very established and know how to handle all of those issues that may come up. Whether once you test, you have to determine exactly what is there. So if you are leaning more towards an iron bacteria injection, or if you're leaning towards a UV system, we're going to have these plumbing companies figure that out for them. Sometimes you even have to worry about if your water is too hard or not. If that is the case, that if your water is too hard, that's also going to throw off your testing. So some places you actually have to get that water soft first, and then you have to take the next step of purifying it.
Okay. Okay. So do you ever recommend that the seller do these inspections beforehand?
You know what?
You know, like if it's your listing?
Yep, it is a topic of discussion. I educate them on the steps that would need to be taken. And at the end of the day, they kind of say, all right, well, we're going to wait and see what the buyer is going to ask for. Or yes, I'm a proactive thinker and I want to know ahead of time. So it all depends on the seller.
Okay. So somebody wrote in the chat box that she had a question a few minutes ago. Is the seller legally required to pump septic prior to closing, even if it wasn't asked for?
It all depends on where you're located, believe it or not. If you are in a watershed, like Canandaigua Lake watershed or Keuka watershed, then you do have to pump that for deed transfer and you do have to provide the proper documentation. It all depends on the municipality. So you can always first check with the code officer of that town and ask them that question. If that, location requires pumping, because it might not just be the lender, it could be the location that would require it for deed transfer.
Okay. All right. So I'm assuming rules will be slightly different for seasonal properties versus year round, or no? Okay.
No. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's see, somebody else said that you have been described as the Queen of Naples. And so what's one of the things that you did that really helped you become top of mind for an entire community?
I love my people. And they know I love where I live. So, and you really have to get in when it comes to volunteering. You have to do what's comfortable for you. Let's just start there. You be you, and that is going to be a win-win for everyone. Don't try to do something, this person did this, and this. If that's not you, don't do it. Figure out where. Okay, I don't know if it was a leadership call or if it was bold when they said, what is your black belt? Like, what are you really good at? Like, I just can tell you, I could talk about wells and septics and all that stuff. But also, too, I am deeply passionate about where I live, and I believe that's out whether I'm working or not. So I purposefully shop in my community, support my community, fundraisers and raffles. I volunteer in my community. I have many friends in my community. That is what it's all about. Everyone knows, like, I'm very passionate about living here. Not only can I sell their home, I can sell the area. So that's what they also like about me. I know what someone can do here for fun in every season, So that also helps me gain trust with them. Not only can I sell their home, because we know the area is half the package.
Okay. Have you always lived in Naples?
No, so I've been here 23 years. I grew up in Geneva, so I'm a Geneva girl. My grandfather was a police officer in Geneva. And then I kind of lived in Canandaigua for a little bit, lived in Palmyra before I met my husband, had a really cute house there. But his area was here. So that's how I ended up here, as I followed him, so.
Okay. Did you find it hard to break into that community when you moved?
No, I have one son, Luke, and I think what really helped was having a family unit. So being connected to Little Bunch and being connected to the school. Also, I'm an avid person when it comes to fitness. So I attend my very good friend's fitness class at the church. And I volunteered a lot at Bristol Valley Theater when Luke was young. So I got to know people that way. And again, I think just constantly being a customer of your community, you get to know the faces, you get to know the owners of the businesses and the establishments, and that's really helpful. So when they see you coming, it's just like a friendly face both ways.
Yeah, yeah, very cool. Somebody's asking, so they said it's clear you're community focused and you're amazing with your clients. What have you given as closing gifts? Anything local and adorable that we can steal? I mean, borrow?
Yeah. You know what? It all depends on the client. So my friends and clients own Imagine More Winery. I'm blessed to have many wineries as past and present clients. So Hazlitt Winery is another client of mine. So what I tend to do is if I know my client's a wine drinker, I might rotate the wine through. So I'm supporting, Arbor Hill is a client of mine, is our past client. So I'm kind of rotating a lot of wine, or I'm giving all three. Here's a sample of your local wines.
Yeah.
Imagine More has a wine called Gratitude, and it's one of my favorites to give because I'm grateful for their business. Another one is pies. How can you go wrong with someone who's never tasted a great pie? So, and you know, it's a love-hate relationship with those. You either love them or you hate them. But there again, supporting the locals and providing somebody new coming into our community with something that's a local favorite. So, and I don't have a favorite great pie. They're all good. Jenny's great pies. Monica's great pies. Arbor Hill has great pies. So you just have to buy them and sample them, and then you'll see. So those are my favorite things to give. But again, anything I give is right here locally made, you know, so that's what I like to do.
Very cool. What's your favorite wine?
Oh, yeah, I have too many. I have too many. So
Are you a
some
red
dry
or a
Riesling
white drinker?
that Hazlitt makes. Oh, well, I used to be a red, but as I got older, I switched to white because I don't know, red just wasn't working for me. But now I'm a white drinker, so I love this dry Riesling of Hazlitt's. And then Arbor Hill has a really great Triminette. And then I like the Gratitude from Imagine More.
And is that red or white?
Those are all white. But my husband, he's a big Cabernet Sauvignon, and he probably would tell you his favorite is Heron Hill, I would say. I think he likes Heron Hill the best. So.
Okay. All right. So just kind of going back a bit, I missed something in the chat.
Okay.
So somebody asked, is there an app you use to search boundary lines on large parcels?
There is. I use the XHunt app. It's Onyx, however you want to word it, OX, and then Hunt. And this is the coolest app. So I sold the largest piece of property about a year ago. It was 273 acres. And this app is so cool. It puts a ping right on where you are, and you can walk to every corner of that property. But you know what else I also love about it? What I do for my clients. So right now I've got 39 acres listed at 0 State Route 53, if you guys want to check that out. What I did was I screenshot my app, and it shows the boundary lines, and then I can text that to any clients or any agents. So it's just even friendlier than a survey map, because I get the question all the time, how much of that is wooded, right? You want to know how much is open, how much is wooded. You take a screenshot of your app, so Onyx Hunt, if you're looking it up, it's a big X, it's an app. There is a fee, I think it's $14.99 maybe for the year or something. It's very inexpensive. But that is going to be your friend for your clients, for the buyer's agents, and for yourself from a safety standpoint. If you're on a lot of property and you get turned around, you're like, where am I, right? It's very, very helpful.
Very nice. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I can if I don't even know how I could send it to everybody, but if anybody has a problem finding it, please just call me and let me know, and I'll help you find that.
Okay. Or if you have access and you put it in the chat box, you can do that too. Because these are recorded, so somebody would be able to go back and view that.
Put it in right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So somebody else said that, obviously you're a rock star and you did 10 million 2 years ago without admin help. So talk to me a little bit how you manage your time and structure your day. Like, what does a typical week look like for you?
It's very busy. So I'm up between 5 and 6 every morning, depending. I love my yoga. And I don't do anything until that's over. I don't look at my phone, nothing. And then after that's done, between 6 and 6:30, then I check my emails and I check my to-do list from the next day. And I also have a notepad by the side of my bed. I know it might sound weird, but I have to write it. If I wake up in the middle of the night, I have to write it down what I'm thinking of, because I think I won't remember and then I can't fall asleep. But if I write it down, it's already on a piece of paper and I can easily fall back to sleep. And then what I love about my phone is, I'm going back to the next morning, I'll check my emails, I'll check my to-do list if everything didn't get done the day before. And if I need to reach out to a client, let's say via text, I draft all my texts on my phone. It's one thing you can do on an Android. I don't think you can do on an iPhone. I draft them all, but I don't hit send yet, because I respect everyone's time. I never send an email, depending on never send anything until after 8:30. You know what? I want them to respect my world, so I have to respect theirs. So I can have 10 email or 10 texts, or I don't care about email, but it's a text, drafted. And then at 8:30, I go boom, 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 right? So those are all done. That whole process of my world is done. Emails I'll send earlier. I don't mind sending an email anything after 7 o'clock. So between 7 and 10, I'll send an email. Nothing ever later. Text, 8:30, I'll never send one later than probably 7 o'clock, unless I'm in the middle of corresponding with them. But you remember, if you're going to be corresponding with them at 7, you could be working till 8, and then you could be working till 9, you could be working till 10. Sure. So you got to know where your cutoff is, where your comfort level. So I tell my clients, I'm available from 8:30 to 7, probably 7 days a week. And that's how many hours is that?
That's they can a lot.
Right. Other than that, I tell them, send me an email or send me a text and I'll get back to you the next morning. But I learned the hard way, you have to control your clients, because if you answer the phone, like I got a call at 10 of 9 last week, I didn't answer it. I wanted to, but what does that set? That would have set me working until 10 o'clock that night. So I let the text go because I could read it coming through. I let it go. I drafted it for the next morning at 8:30, and so that's one thing how I control. And then I have a to-do list, which is big to me. Susan Glenn's I used to not write things down, and she has this book. You ever see her? She writes everything down. She's my hero. And I started doing that, and that was such a help for me, because again, I don't want to forget it. You think you're going to remember, and 5 minutes later, you're like, what was I supposed to remember? So I want to tell everyone to write it down, give yourself time, your own personal time, but be very organized. Have your list going. You have a constant to-do list. There's no agent should have a blank to-do list. If you have a blank to-do list, that means you got to start like calling your people. Right? As you guys say, if you guys say loving on your people, but your blank to-do, if you have something on your to-do list, it can be organizing your files or ordering products, or, it doesn't always have to be something in the middle of a transaction. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I like that you establish boundaries. I think that's so hard for so many of us, because we feel like, we need to respond immediately because we know others do. And, what's that going to look like, and how are our clients going to feel about that? So I think that that's so important to set that tone and let them know that, you're here, but I also have a life. Like, if
it's an emergency, I say, call me twice. If it's an emergency and you have to speak with me, but think about it. They don't interrupt their lender, their attorney, their, home inspector. Their doctor, they don't do that. They don't call them at all hours in the night. So, but I think giving them a 12-hour time frame, 11.5-hour time frame to reach me is huge. That's a lot of time. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I remember I was covering the phones. This was a couple of years ago, and somebody called at like 12:15 at night. and I was up, we were painting or something like that. And I answered the phone and the client was like, "Oh, I didn't expect you to answer." And I'm like, "Well, then why did you call?" Like, what? It's just crazy. It's crazy. So,
Yeah, so I think, and that took me a while to learn. I will tell you, that wasn't something that came easy, just to be honest with you. So, and it was, my
right,
husband was a big advocate for that too. So,
right. So somebody said, asked a question of, what's your average number of transactions per year?
40 to 50.
Okay.
One thing out here I want to share too, maybe people have already seen this, but I purchased these signs, which is very helpful for me because a lot of my properties you can't see from the road. So for the buyer, I've already gotten this feedback from the buyer to be able to, because they're not even thinking, some people aren't anyways, most people do, aren't even thinking, oh, I can Google the address. But this was like a revelation. Oh, wow, we can go see what's going on. So those signs have been very helpful to me. I know a lot of agents choose to hold their video tours until they get a request showing time, and that is great. I think for the Monroe market, for my market, it's working for me now, and I keep implementing it, and I feel like I'm successful with that.
Okay. So I guess, how do I ask this question? So if there was one thing, and I think I already know the answer based on our conversation. If there was one thing that you felt that you do really, really well that sets you apart from everybody else, what would that be?
I'm a black belt, and I not a real one, but and when it comes to wells and septics and cisterns and cesspools and gas leases and right-of-ways and surveys. So my contracts have layers among layers. I use almost every addendum there is. I hate to say that, but it's true. So let me be of help to you, everyone on this call. I am here for you. No questions, a dumb question. I'll get you through it. And if I can't, I'll make sure you get the right resources to get you through it.
Awesome. So do you do like Facebook ads and stuff like that to get leads, or how does that work for you?
I'm a big Facebook ad person. Actually, Jessica just helped me launch my first business page because I was mixing my business and personal page, which I still do. But I'm a big Facebook ad, and I also have a Twitter account, and I also have LinkedIn. So and I also advertise with my local Naples Record. So print, yes, I know nobody believes in print advertising, but what that does is supports my local people. And I also, in the last print advertising, I thanked our first responders and our grocery store workers and everyone on the front line and our mail people and our delivery people. And I don't want to miss anyone, our food service people. So I put just a thank you, to our community. I advertise, and I actually get to take that ad, and then I actually use that as an ad on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So the thing I spend on that, it doubles itself because I'm recirculating those ads, which is very helpful to me.
Okay. So
and one thing I want to say is, I promise, the only thing I'm not doing, and I'm going to start doing right now, I need to dive into command. That's what I keep hearing. Dive into command. I'm going to, I promise that's going to be my next goal to get better at, because I think I drive Bob Shoemaker a little crazy because I make a lot of mistakes in it. And Bob's like, will you hit send, Theresa. So I want everyone to know who hasn't dived into it yet. I haven't either, but I know I need to, and I'm going to.
Okay. Well, I think that he put a comment on here that said you're a black belt and being a genuinely great human. So,
oh, Bob, you're so kind.
Mad at you.
Yeah, he's very, very good to me, and I think I make a lot of mistakes. I'll be honest with you. I'm not perfect. My paperwork isn't perfect. I'm grateful for Karen Hilbert, because she checks all our paperwork, right? And she's been good to me so far, but she'll make sure I'm on the straight and narrow. So I'm appreciative for all those people behind the scenes who make us look good.
Yep, absolutely. So let's get back to LinkedIn. Somebody said that they used it for their previous business, but does it work for consumer-based stuff? Or how do you use that with real estate?
I just post all my ads on it, just like I do on my Twitter and my Facebook account. So I circulate every time I post an ad on Twitter. It's the same thing on Facebook and LinkedIn. You just got to connect with a lot of people on there. It's very easy to do. So you're going to connect. And then you can also boost your ads on Facebook, which has been huge. My son actually, Finger Lakes Drone Services, I need to give Luke a plug. Thank you, Anthony Butera, who just used him on a property. Just for, I don't even know, are they allowed to do that? Maybe I just spoke out of turn, but I don't know. We're photographers fall from an essential standpoint. How about this? The property was vacant there. Nobody's living there. Anyways, Luke boosts a lot of his advertising, and he does great. So he started doing it, and I learned from my 19-year-old son. I'm like, damn, I'm going to boost this. And one thing I boosted was Luke made me a video when I sold the Naples hotel. And that got over 1,000 hits very quickly. So that was a very successful boost. And that was a big sale for our small community. I can't tell you every day how I'm so grateful that closed. That was one of the hardest transactions in my entire career. And we closed it. And since then, unfortunately, we've had 2 other businesses close in Naples. One went for sale, and we all know we lost Bristol Harbor Golf Resort. So my little town's taking a little hit, but that's okay, because once we get up and running, the Naples Hotel is the hub of our town. And that's going to really kind of drive traffic right back in for us.
Right. So do you use, so getting back to Facebook, do you just normally do you use command for Facebook, or do you just use normal Facebook? Okay.
I just create, you know what? I love Canva. So Jessica Martin introduced me to Canva. That's a free designing site. So you can go to my Facebook page and you can look at the way I've designed some of those. And Jessica has designed some for me too. That is a free tool. You can't beat it. And the ads look fantastic.
Okay.
So Canva, I believe. Do you want me to put that in the chat? Does everybody know Canva?
Yeah. I can put it in. It's no problem. Yeah, no problem.
But I don't want to keep people too long. I know it's already 9:43. I had a little problem logging in. I don't know if anybody else did too. So I was here. I just wasn't connected.
I did as well. It kept saying it needed a host. It needed a host.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm in my account. Like, what's the problem? So, I mean, I think it's
okay. I'm glad it wasn't me.
No. I have so many, like there's so many accounts that we have so many different meetings in. I think maybe I just need to shut down my computer and just reboot it and get rid of all of the little saved open windows, you know? So does anybody else have any questions for Theresa? I want to be mindful of her time, but you've gotten a lot of great comments in here. Just, you know, people thanking you for being on. You're a rock star.
Thank you, everyone.
They appreciate the time that you took.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to my happy hour group, my girls, my guys, everyone out there. You know who you are. You guys are fun, and we are just ourselves on that time together. And I've really appreciated it. And so thank you. And Sarah's the one who kind of started that. So if I give names, I'm going to forget someone. Marlene and Jillian and Sarah and Courtney was on, and Kevin and Chad and Amy's been on, and Robin's been on, and who am I missing? If I forgot you, I didn't.
If you can't tell
you.
by
Bob
Kim
was
Russell's
on
face,
once.
you're missing Kim Russell.
Oh, Kim Russell. Yes, Kim. I love Kim. And shout out on the Facebook page. So Kim, you are so much fun when you go pick up your parents' fish fry. So I love when you guys do that. But I know we got to go, but I just say, I'm really, and I think that's what you want to hear. It's a capper call. So I got my certification for my broker. I can't wait to take. I'm taking bold, people. Yay.
Yay!
Woo-ha, or whatever they say. And if you have getting your books, I came with props. So get your books from Bob, or I don't know where you can order them, but I got them from Jessica when she was with us. And I just want to say I love Keller Williams. So I'm really proud to be a part of this group. I think you guys are all great. I've learned so much from everyone, and I'm grateful for these Zoom calls, and we're going to get through this together.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. You were so inspirational this morning. You gave a lot of great information with regards to, wells, septics, and well, pretty much just about everything. So we appreciate you taking the time, and we're so happy you're a part of our family. And thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
All right.
guys. Thank you. It was a pleasure. And wait, don't go, because I got to screenshot this for my sisters. One
Okay.
second. Everybody stay right where you are, because they got to see on. Because I've got a family now. I got to get a screenshot. Here we go. All right, guys. Thank you.
Bye. Have a
Bye.
great day.
Bye. See everybody on happy hour. Come to our happy hour.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
honey.